Ladies and gentlemen,
only the best internet radio station in the world.
ooh, yeah!
No, the universe.
The Kota iRadio Network.
Back by popular demand.
Woo!
Now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
I'm your DJ.
DJ Barbecue.
Has done over 400 events.
Ooh, yeah!
5, 4, 3,
2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands in the air.
Let's get ready to This is UnCut Live, and I'm DJ Barbecue. Powered by KBack.Rocks. Rock radio the way rock radio should be. Midwest All Pro Wrestling. Go to MidwestAllProWrestling.com. Get tickets and feel the excitement. Jekyll and Hyde Barbecue. Our brothers from another mother. They make barbecue so good. They'll put a smile on your face. And Remedy Brewing Company. It's the remedy for what ails you. What up, everybody? My name is DJ Barbecue. I am the host, of UnCut Live on the Kota iRadio Network podcast. As you can see on the screen, we have the logo that you'll see when you look up the Kota iRadio Network on the podcast platforms. You can see that we are on Apple, TuneIn, Spotify, Listen Notes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and we have Castbox, and that is a app for both Android and iOS, so you don't have to worry. I'm trying this for the second time to see how it works. In the beginning, I kind of had some issues. I need some help with giving ideas on how to do this a little bit better. I know that it keeps saying that I have to tweak a few settings. It might stop, it might slow. But I do want to say, though, welcome to the, second edition of a live feed on YouTube on the Kota iRadio Network podcast YouTube channel. We have two shows on the Kota iRadio Network podcast, which is Pro Wrestling UnCut. It has Dave the Tiger Man Smith as a host, and also Cole Dawson as a host. And they're basically the support beams of the podcast. They support everything. They have the main show, which is dropped every Thursday. If you are watching this video on YouTube, I will have to say, though, the last couple of weeks we have not been doing a Pro Wrestling UnCut show, or maybe it's just been a week. It's been a long 3 weeks. I have a herniated disc in my back, and so that put me out. Dave has to work. He has other projects, but he got sick. Cole got sick with the flu. Then my son got sick with the flu. So it's been a little bit. I will be posting an episode that was supposed to be previously posted last week, but we had some technical difficulties. You know, if it's not one thing, it's another, but it's no big deal. This isn't a race. It's a marathon. I'm not going to, get all down in the dumps and think negative about it. But we will have that posted. It's the Pro Wrestling UnCut. It's like, I'd say about a week behind from Monday Night Raw and AEW with Shayna Baszler, Becky Lynch's feud, and so on and so on. That's been going on Monday Night Raw. Then AEW, that show was done before Revolution, so I do apologize, but at least we have one dropping. If you guys haven't been watching the product or anything, then you have the option. Hopefully this is sounding better. I think I had both mics going at the same time. I had the camera mic and my main mic going on. I just got done talking to Dave, the host, and then something dropped on my Twitter account for the Kota iRadio Network. And if you can tell on the scroll bar there, it has all of our Twitter accounts. If you want to get a hold of Dave and Cole, go to Pro Wrestling Uncut. That's the Pro and then WRESUNCUT. That is the Twitter account for their show that they can talk to. I'm not going to give out personal Twitter accounts, so you're going to have to reach them from there. I am also on the UnCut Live account. That is my show, and I also help with the Kota iRadio Network account, WK capitalized at the end of that. I have a friend that helps me out as well that doesn't really, he watches pro wrestling, but he doesn't get to do it all the time. And so if like there's something that needs to be put out there or shared, he'll see it, he'll put it on there. It's just something fun. He doesn't watch that often. He goes to a lot of independent wrestling shows as well. So he's kind of like my backup. I got to give a huge shout out to, and you can find these guys. It's a band from Florida. It's Bear Within Us. They got 3 songs on their YouTube channel that you can find. So go to Bear Within Us. Within is together. They are our theme song for the Kota iRadio Network. You might hear a little bit of like the in the beginning where it's kind of like a mixture. I made that. And then that song at the end is that's a snippet of their song of Baker. You can find them on Spotify and iTunes if you go look up Bear Within Us. Like I said, they're a band out of Florida. They're independent, and they do one hell of a good job. And I thank them for being able to allow us to use their song as the theme song. Pro Wrestling Uncut is our, like I said, our main show, our stable. Our support beams for the podcast. They talk to, superstars that are in there. We've talked to Mad King Eddie Kingston. We've talked to Gregory Irons. We've talked to several other superstars that are out there that are in the top level of indie promotions, to Ring of Honor, to MLW, to AEW. That being said, my show, Uncut Live, I used to just talk to independent wrestlers, and I still do, but I'm extending it out. I used to listen to a lot of music when I was younger. That I got older, I kind of just got into the stupid partying all the time, and so I kind of just like didn't listen to it. I mean, I listen to music, I love music, but I'm gonna help out a lot of the other individuals that are out there, and kind of broadcast this. I started the podcast because I always wanted to be in radio, like I said on my other episode that I did live. That was kind of the test run, and maybe this will be a little bit better. Hopefully it is. Hopefully I won't go that long, but this is for the independent musicians, independent wrestlers, mainstream wrestlers, if I can get them. I do want to get a hold of a talented lady. She's in a tag team, Women of Wrestling. We had technical difficulties. I talked to her like probably in November or December. She said that she had to wait for about a month, about the new year, to be able to be on because she's really busy. She had some merchandise for special for Christmas, and my son wanted to get some, and I went, and she went above and beyond, and I have to thank her. I'll have to try to get her on here. Maybe we can go live. Maybe we can talk. I need to actually try to find somebody that wouldn't mind going live at night if possible, because I don't think a lot of individuals do this. I think the big names do, but I don't think they go live that much with a lot of the podcasters. They kind of just do the recording and then they post it. I did that in the Midwest. Then several others kind of broke out as well at the same time. So I love it. I think it's great. I love the podcast community. I think it's awesome. I love the Midwest. So if you start listening to this, and I keep doing this a little bit more often, I haven't decided on what day, night, or if it's going to be on a regular, because I have my other main job that I have to do. I mean, I have a small business. I'm trying to, create other revenue out there, to take initiative. It's a hard time out there, as everybody probably knows. Some, have it, good. Some don't have it good. Don't ever give up at all. There's plenty of opportunity. that you can find. And you know what? I want to, speaking of that, thinking positive and stuff, and that's always a way that I'd really like to think positive. Give Ryback a shout out on his YouTube channel. I know he has a lot. I don't even need to be, advertising for him because he has a lot of, my back, a lot of, subscribers. Please like and subscribe this, because if I keep doing this and it catches on, I will do it on a regular basis. I might have other people on here try to figure out how to do that so I can talk to them at the same time, or even have them call in. Then it'd be just audio, or then I would have a video, because I have capabilities of putting a screen right here, right where the logo for our podcast is. That's to the, well, I guess it would be the right of you, but it would be the left of me. So we'll do that. But like I said, Ryback, he has a lot of, and people might not like Ryback for whatever reason, and they can, because that's their United States right, and their given right. But he does a lot of positive things, man. I got to give it to him. I even might actually, I'm gonna have to do this in the afternoon, because I'm a big fluffy guy. I can't be eating some of that food at this late at night. I'd blow up and I'd be gone, and that'll be it. And my son needs me around. So I've been trying to eat a little healthier. That's another reason why I quit eating red meat. You'd have to listen to his podcast, listen to what he was talking about. It's not like a vegan type of thing. I was inspired by a friend of mine of the podcast. I had him on here on the earlier shows. If you look up the Kota iRadio network on all the podcast platforms, you will see some of the older shows, especially on the YouTube channel, the Kota iRadio network podcast here on YouTube that we're live on. Like and subscribe that. They have a lot of older shows that when I first started. And that being said, I wanted to go back to what I was talking about the episode before the test run. Don't be afraid to start anything. Like, I'm out of my wheelhouse. I'm out of my comfort zone. I never knew that I could do this. I really didn't know. When I was younger, scared to death to talk in front of people. People that know me without being around in a big crowd, they know that I talk way too much. There's a lot of things that doing this kind of helps me with. It gives me, it relieves some stress. If there's a lot of things on your head and mind and you're having a hard time sleeping, start doing it. If you can't write, because I have a hard time writing. My handwriting is crap. My reading, sometimes I'm illiterate, or whatever the word is. I can't read certain words, and I'll admit it. I can't spell, and I'll admit it. I've been bullied about that, and I'm going to go into that a little bit too. That being said, take your time, look everything up. I had gotten asked, what did I use for my podcast? What do you think I should do to start a podcast? And I said, I told him, I said, it took me a year and 8 months to figure this out. Like, I literally was testing computer equipment, watching what my friends do. I have a good friend that basically this podcast that I do with my brothers, Cole and Dave, and I have John, and I have some good support staff that are just like brothers to me that help me out. James, he's gotten he had Al Snow on my UnCut live show that's on the podcast. It was a great eye-opening learning thing. I was naive, and he showed me that I need to quit thinking certain ways, which is fine. And I thank him for coming on there. I don't know how I can ever repay him for coming on. It's been an absolute amazing to be able to have him on the show and talk to him. But it took me a year and 8 months to figure this out. I watched my friends. I had a friend on the radio. I did that, and been wanting to do it. Always music. I did DJing in college. I used to carry I'd say probably about a 10-gallon tote with cords, and then a big red tote. I don't know, probably 30-gallon tote with my 20 20-inch computer gateway desktop in it to the bar to DJ all the time. I took my computer, would load it up. I had music on there. Winamp was the operating service. And then I had a DVD player that they had, and I was crossfading with them. So like I did that, and then I see later on after I quit doing that, and I didn't DJ at that place anymore. I kept DJing myself at other places for myself. And they had like little laptops, and then now you have tablets, and then basically you can just it's just mediocre to whatever you want to use. I mean, you can use iPads, phones, anything now. It's crazy. But I didn't have that luxury back then. But no, I did that, and it was fun, and I always liked music. So then I decided to change this podcast up to doing music also. So the independent scene. So I wanted to reach out in that way. Well, the reason why it took me a year and 8 months is because I needed to make sure that I did this right. I'm still learning, and that's what the greatest thing is that you learn every day. It doesn't matter how old you are. But I do recommend, though, don't be afraid just to go out there and try to go to your thrift stores, your Facebook rummage sales, everything like that to find equipment, because you can find it out there. You'll be surprised. That's all I did to get this stuff. It's not top quality, but it works. It does the job. The microphone, I spent a little money on that. It's been recommended. I did my research on it. But don't be afraid to go get that stuff and then put it together. Anybody can do this. This is what's great about technology now. If I would have known I would be doing this and had that, I should have started this a long time ago, but I was too afraid. Not going to lie. I was really, really, really afraid. Because like I said, I could never talk in front of big crowds. That being said, I took the initiative. I got out of my wheelhouse. I got out of my comfort zone, and little by little, it's going. I do have Periscope for the podcast. I do have a Twitch, which my son recommended me doing because we want to play video games too. I did interview Michael Herman from Retro Soft Studios. That's the Retromania video game, the highly anticipated sequel now to WrestleFest. Supposed to be coming out in July, I think. They're having pre-orders for PC and the Nintendo Switch, and then due to rules that PlayStation and Xbox has, they'll have their own little pre-sale stuff closer to the time that it's supposed to come out on their stores. It's their rules. I don't think there's any way to get around it, which is fine and understandable. So video games, wrestling games, I'm not really that good at. I do try. My son's helped me out. He knows how to do that. That stuff I could never do. I do play Call of Duty. I do play Madden. I love football. I love other sports. We might talk sports on this one too. I'm not for sure. I like the XFL. It has the old school college football feel, high school feel for football. But independent pro wrestling, that's another reason why I wanted to do the podcast, is because there's a lot of independent wrestlers that are out there that are from the Midwest that need to get their name out. And I know that you have social media and all that, but I mean, I don't know how that works anymore with monetizing and everything else. I watch a lot of YouTube videos to kind of see what they do, get a little ideas. This right now, the screen stuff, I've had it like 26 or 25 different looks on here. It took me a little bit, but I'm doing it. And when I interviewed Chris Van Vliet, and that the episode is on the podcast, and the video, I don't know if I put it on YouTube. I think I put it on YouTube. I think I did. That's been a while ago. I'd have to relook at it. But he said, I'm doing the thing, and you shouldn't be afraid to do it. So he always has this, he says, vague goals get vague results. And I think that motto, that quote is really good, because I think I'm going to set myself on a goal to be able to do this more often. And I don't know what the number is, but I'm going to set it. But, hey, I got plenty of time right now. I injured my back. I was working on a piece of furniture that needed to be repaired. And I tweaked my back. I thought it was just, I pulled my muscle, whatever, take ibuprofen, ice it, warm it up, warm it up. And I probably shouldn't ice it. But I didn't, because I about dropped on my knees. I couldn't walk. Here I come find out that I have a herniated disc in my back. So I had to go to the ER and do that. So that's just another added problem that I have. I can't do my main job. I don't have a job with that main one right now because I can't do anything. I'm trying to do my small business that I've always had on the sides that try to bring other revenue in, and sometimes lately I've been striking out. No money coming in, other than there's some money coming in. I'm not living on free ride here. I mean, I'm paying my bills, my utility bills, and that's good. Other than that, life's happening. But let's get to wrestling. I think I've talked enough about kind of myself and that. But like I said, don't be afraid to do that. I did want to somehow talk on my podcast, and I might take this video and record it on my software, my recording software that's on my computer. Since this is mine, I can record my own stuff. It's illegal to record anybody else's stuff, but I think I'm going to take this video that will save on my computer, and make this into an MP3 format and put it as the podcast, because there's a lot of things that I've noticed lately, and I don't think people realize this. I didn't even realize this. On social media now, it seems like everybody has become a habit of making multi-profiles, and I don't understand that. But that's not the point of what I was going to talk about. I just kind of thought about that. It's really weird why that people would do that. I do have pages for this because I have a 5-year plan to see if this works. And I'm thinking positive. I'm going to keep trucking along, if that's the word to say. But, so, I have the Twitter accounts, and I have one friend helping me that he doesn't want to be recognized. He is helping me. He doesn't watch the product that often. He's a social media geek. So, I mean, there's stuff that he can do that, I don't see or know how to do. But that being said, I've been looking on the Twitter, and wrestling's been going awesome. I love this era. I love this opportunity that my son gets, all the wrestling fans get, the wrestling community. A shout out to the wrestling community. We never got this amount of pro wrestling before. Like when I was a kid, I think it was every Saturday afternoon. I was lucky enough to be at my grandparents' house to be able to watch wrestling in the afternoons. My grandmother, God rest her soul, my grandfather, God rest his soul, would never allow me to watch that. It was out of a fluke that I would change the channel. And I had a lot of those flukes because every time there was a Saturday morning, I made sure that I watched the Saturday morning cartoons, and then I watched wrestling. It was WWF Saturday mornings. I can't remember what channel it was on, but it was awesome. It caught my attention. I come from a single parent family that was blessed to be a whole family later on, after I got to be about 9 years old. I didn't have my biological father around. It sucked. I had a chip on my shoulder, a huge chip on my shoulder. I was pissed off at my relatives because, why did they have a dad that could, be around? And I didn't. But we were blessed enough to have the man that was my father. I called him my father. God rest his soul. It's been 4 years. It'll be 5 years this year that he's been passed, which sucks. But he's looking down at me. At least he didn't like wrestling, but he knew that I had passion for it, and he always, had his ways to say, hey, you know what? If you have passion for it, either you do it, don't talk about it, just do it. So, I'm going to do the podcast. I'm going to do it. So that's why I decided to do the live, try it out. But watch wrestling, and I resonated with Rowdy Piper, and Rowdy Piper, when he passed, that hurt, because that's the person that, you know, I kind of like, it took my, the way that he had his presence. And then, you know, there was another character, another person that, you know, I resonated with, because, you know, it's just the imagination as a kid. Your imagination is so huge, and then the way that they were doing all those moves and stuff is something that I really wanted to do, because I love sports. I wanted to try to do it and see how they did it, and I was just amazed. And the other one was Jake the Snake Roberts. And I say all this stuff to bring this up because of pro wrestling, because Jake the Snake Roberts was on AEW tonight. And that right there is absolutely amazing. I that absolutely blew my mind that Jake the Snake Roberts came out. Surprise. Cody was in the ring on AEW tonight. And came out and cut a great promo. He literally cut a promo. I mean, his voice changed a little, has changed, but he literally cut a promo just like he did in the old days, like the old WWF days, the days before that. It was cold-blooded, it was quick, and it was to the point. And I absolutely loved it. People I've seen on Twitter give him a little crap about his haircut. You know, a snake always sheds its skin. That's what I put it as. The whole show was awesome. The end was awesome, you know, because it was teasing that, you know, if Dean Ambrose, if you don't know, is Jon Moxley, and you probably do. I just said that just to see if people know who I'm talking about, because there's a lot of fans that don't watch AEW out there, so I just wanted to put that out there. But it's Jon Moxley. And they said that if he was able to walk by the end of the night, then Jericho would leave for 6 weeks. That didn't happen. Jericho didn't let him walk. He came out later, so the stipulation of him being gone for 6 weeks hasn't happened yet. So that was really cool. We had earlier in that morning, we had Free the Delete, and found out that the Bucks of Youth came to the Hardy compound, Matt Hardy, and I knew you would come, was at the end of it, and that was epic. And so people were probably hoping that it would be tonight that he would come out, but you know, you can't give everybody the full dessert yet. It was awesome. NXT had cage matches. It was really good. I'll have to I watched that. I do want to put out here though, there was some news that came out just right after NXT and all the other shows reported this gentleman that does, and it's just a rumor, but according to Hugo Savrovich, Sanovanovic, I can't, like I said, I can't read it. It sucks. But from Lucha Libre Online, Vince will make a huge announcement about WWE before the week is over. Hugo said he can't say what it is, but that's the decision will shake WWE now that Vince has accepted AEW is here to stay. That's huge. We'll have to see what happens, because you know, it is Thursday as of right now. It's 1:20 a.m. in the Midwest. Let's see what else is on the old Twitter here. Yes, so like I said, Jake the Snake was out there. I think this is the promo that he cut. He came out, stopped, grabbed the mic, and Cody was in the ring. And I'll play a little bit of it for you.
What a snake wants, a snake takes. You see, I'm not in AEW to take the whole pie. Just your share. Now, a wise man once told me, never, ever turn your back on somebody you respect or you're afraid of.
And just like that, that was at the end of it. That wasn't the full promo. But he said he's going to take a piece of his pie. And I I don't know who it's going to be. I'm thinking it's either going to be Brody Lee or Lance Archer or somebody brand new, but he says he has somebody that's going to bring the darkness back. Not sure what that meant or what he meant by it, but that'll be interesting. I do know, though, Lance Archer has arrived, and he has a sick-looking photo on his Twitter account, and hopefully it's a shirt because it says "Killing the Elite," which is all red. It's really epic. It's really cool. Another thing, though, that's been happening since NXT, it premiered last week and this week, there's a video out there now on Twitter that it looks like TikTok, crisscross, make you want to jump. No, I'm just kidding. That's just a song that I grew up on and that I like. But no, Killer Cross. It looks like his video. It looks like the Eclipse time is running out. The end is near is what it states. That's going to be pretty interesting. They had a cage match with Strong and Velveteen Dream. The cage match on NXT ended. Velveteen threw Roderick Strong right out of the cage. I think he sacrificed. I think that was on purpose because he brutalized Cole and Bay, and he probably he got beat. He beat him down. He beat him real good. And it was a great ending. So I'm not going to be upset at that call. That's one thing at the end of NXT I do really like, because I'd like to see Velveteen Dream win the NXT Championship. I think it's long waited. He is one of the top entertaining stars that sticks out, that stands out there. I think I'm glad that he's staying in NXT, only because of the track record that they have in WWE, and a lot of people talk about that already. There was a sit-down interview with Johnny Gargano, Moraro, as the world-famous Messiah reported on, and the promo was really cool. It was really good. Johnny does everything good. I tell you what, he's absolutely amazing. Moraro, he's amazing. God, the Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano feud is continuing, and that still stands up there in the last, I would say, 10 years. That feud stands up there in the top 3 of all time. They went 2 years of telling a story between the both of them, and it was epic. It was the best story ever. Yeah, so like, we had a great time today. Another thing is going back to AEW, Colt Cabana debuted on All Elite Wrestling Dynamite. That was awesome to see, because you know what? I remember Colt being in WWE a long time ago. It was a couple matches. I think it was Sunday Night Heat that he was on. And then I hadn't seen him wrestle other than on Ring of Honor. And recently NWA, which is, I'm going to get into that one too. That was awesome. That was great to hear. But it was also really great to see Colt Cabana. He ended up picking the win up with SCU going against the Dark Order. One of the greatest, and I'm going to keep going back and forth on this, one of the greatest promos ever was absolutely chilling, and that was with Sean Money. He's with MWA right now, and I'm going to play a little bit of that promo of Jake the Snake Roberts. It just came across my Twitter feed. It's one of the classics. I've always liked how Jake cut promos. Man, he was literally like scary. He didn't have to talk real loud. He had this like, and I can't even get my voice like this, but he had this voice that was so cold, that was so scary, so deep, so dark, He didn't have to raise his voice, because everybody else was like, you know what, brother, and get, they were all excited all the time. He had to talk quietly. He was like that. And he always made sure that, people listened, and he was to the point, and it was awesome. But here's some of the promo. It's an old school one.
From President Jack Tunney, there will be no reptile allowed in your corner. Now, earlier I saw the Macho Man and his lovely bride, Elizabeth. Randy Savage is wired to the max. He cannot wait to get you into the ring.
So what? As cold as a razor blade, as tight as a tourniquet, like the skin on a dying man. Randy Savage, the last time I seen you, you were flailing like some helpless child, drowning. Drowning from what? Drowning from the very poison that was running through your veins after that snake had chewed on that arm. For some time, he did chew. Now, you look at my...
I'm not going to play it all because I don't want to get like a copyright strike or whatever for wherever it's from. But, man... And the other thing is about Jake the Snake is when you watched him, he looked in the camera and his eyes would scare the heck out of you. I was a kid, so I don't know how it was as an adult, but it scared the heck out of me because he was just that calm, like psycho look. Like he'd look, and I don't know if you could see this because the resolution on this camera is pretty crappy, but he was just like, would stare, would not even blink, and would talk. It's absolutely amazing. MJF. Now, everybody has a wrestling podcast. There's about 900,000 of these podcasts out there. And, who knows how, many wrestling ones are out there. I have the figure on one of my books somewhere, and I don't have it with me in the studio here. But MJF. That guy reminds me of a old school Paulie E. Dangerously. Just an old school heel from like the mid 80s, early 90s, like old school, like the way that it's hard to explain for some of them that don't know this. Like there's a lot of wrestling fans that started like so late, and that's not a problem. That's fine. But like he's just an old school attitude heel, and I see that TMZ picked it up because he was taking a picture and he flipped off a kid. Well, he's flipped off a lot of kids. I think it's funny that TMZ and a lot of these other news stations are doing this because obviously he's doing something right, because that he has nuclear heat right now, and it's absolutely amazing how talented he is, because he doesn't break character, and that's the way it was supposed to be. Like you weren't supposed to have heels and baby faces hanging out with each other, and when you were out and about, you were supposed to be in character the whole time. So, like, I got to give props to MJF. If you watch this video on YouTube, please drop a comment and tell me what you think about Danhausen. I've watched him on Ring of Honor, and I think that he's a great wrestler. He's very entertaining. He does a lot of good videos. Him and Warhorse. I didn't even know anybody about these guys, and then I just saw on Twitter that it just kept popping up. And man, they're entertaining as hell. Like, it's awesome. I see that SmackDown. MLW. Speaking of that, because I just came around on my Twitter field, but MLW, you have to, guys, go check this out. If you don't have beIN Sports, I highly recommend, because I know there's a lot of fans out there of pro wrestling or sports entertainment, i.e. whatever. Go and check MLW out. MLW is definitely worth the while of watching. You can find it on their YouTube channel, Major League Wrestling. And then they're on other channels. They're not on Access TV. I think it's more of a satellite, or wherever you are in the world, whatever your cable or satellite provider is. But MLW is definitely worth the watch. If you like the old school pro wrestling days and you don't like sports entertainment and don't like WWE on a Monday, I highly recommend you go on a Monday and find their YouTube channel and watch their videos that they upload from their episodes. Sometimes they live stream them, simulcast live stream the episode from beIN Sports. I noticed that a couple times. They'll take their pay-per-view and they'll like kind of do what you'd see on like a Hulu with WWE and some of the other wrestling promotions that have been previous in the past. There was a couple other ones that were out of Vegas that were trying it out. But go ahead and look at those, and you'll be impressed. If you don't like Monday Night Raw, that will satisfy you and fill that space up. NWA is obviously on Tuesdays. Go and check them out. And then AEW Dark. For the fans that don't know this, and there's some people that do, but not a lot of them that actually do know it, they do their All Elite Wrestling YouTube channel and BTE behind, or Being the Elite YouTube channel. They do videos there still that intertwine with what happened on AEW Dynamite and also pay-per-view. So like watch that and make sure you do. Another thing is that make sure you go to, and as a fan, go to Ring of Honor. Try to do background research on some of these wrestlers that you'll see, because you're going to be seeing a lot of new faces, like Luther, the deathmatch guy that debuted in Dynamite a few weeks back with the with Brandy Rose and King and Awesome Kong and what's her name? I can't remember her name, so I'm not going to say it. But debuted there, and a lot of people didn't know who he is or where he came from. So, like, he was a deathmatch legend overseas, like worse than what you'd probably see around that you see on WWE or anything, or Bloodbath or whatever. Go check that out. Do the research. You'll find a lot of information about him. I have to sneeze. Hold on. What's? Oh, bless me. Sorry. On camera sneeze. But like, if you remember the WCW days, you'll definitely want to watch those. If you heard a lot about like what wrestling used to be like in the Attitude Era, and I know the Attitude Era always gets brought up. A lot of people aren't about that, but go watch those. You know, MLW, Ring of Honor, NWA is like no music. It's all the hard knocks of what pro wrestling is. The actual pro wrestling to the T. Women of Wrestling is on Access TV, and they're supposed to be going out on tour. Like I said, with the women's division, definitely go watch them. That's key. OVW Wrestling also, if you guys remember that, Al Snow runs that school. Hell of a great school. One of the top schools that have talent consistently come out to be on TV. Go and watch them. Now, they have a YouTube channel that they've been doing their TV shows. So they have news that came out that OVW Wrestling partners with U2 America for major new national TV series. OVW is one of the most popular, widely respected wrestling promotions in the world since its inception of 1993. The Fielder announced that they've teamed up with the leading production cast cable network U2 America to air their flagship weekly 1-hour series to over 32 million households across the U.S. OVW Wrestling will premiere on U2 America Friday evening, April 3rd, with the kickoff to a brand new era of professional wrestling. Owned by WWE icon Al Snow, his business partner Chad Miller, CEO of Gladiator Sports Network, OVW Wrestling is based in Louisville, Kentucky, and the enemies from... Or I said that wrong. Sorry. Like I said, I can't read that well, and I apologize. So people are probably going to make fun of me on the comments, and I guess that's so be it. From the world famous Davis Arena is where they have their shows. So that's pretty big news because OVW is great. Where is U2 TV? I've actually never heard of them at all. I would have to look here. I'll have to do a little more research about that. That's pretty huge. I like that. I'm going to like and share that and retweet that all day, every day. That's huge. We have a God, that's huge. That we have a lot of professional wrestling that's out there, definitely. There, I trust me, there is way too much wrestling out there and not enough time to watch. So like I've had to take my things from their Twitter accounts, YouTube channels, just to kind of catch up on their weekly shows, news, to see what's going on. I actually don't even go. I used to go to the WWE.com and get information on them or some of these other promotions like OVW, their websites and stuff, Ring of Honor's website. Now I can just watch it. If you go to, I don't know if a lot of people know this or they advertise this or anything, but if you don't have money for cable and you pay for internet, but you don't have money for cable, go to your whatever smart TV, your Roku, PlayStation, Microsoft, anything that you do that has even Android capabilities or iOS, like I think Apple TV, box, streaming stick, Fire Stick, anything. Go to Pluto TV. Pluto TV has a lot of AAA, CMML, and TNA, Impact, old repeated shows that you can watch. Also, it has Stadium. If you don't have Stadium, the Stadium channel, I did a little research on this just to see if this was correct. You can watch old and new, well, pre-taped, kind of like whatever behind, of Ring of Honor shows on there. I checked to see because I do get the Stadium channel on one of my over-the-air TV channels, which is just like the old rabbit ears. If you guys don't know what old rabbit ears are, is with the antennas that usually hook to the TV to get stations. It was analog, now it's digital. I mean, there's maybe some analog channels that are for like emergencies, whatever, in the U.S., but not a lot. But it's probably about a 30-second difference. So they're airing at the same time. It's only because it's on they're streaming it to Pluto. So I recommend going there, and you can find wrestling on there. And like I said, with all the YouTube channels, you can go up there and watch those wrestling shows too. There's a lot of other top, smaller independent schools that have really great production value that you can watch on there. I recommend you go and do that. Please, if you do not want to go to WWE, or you cannot afford to go to WWE or AEW or Ring of Honor or MLW or Women Wrestling, wherever you are in the U.S. or the world, go to your independent wrestling shows. It is very worth it because if you support them, bigger and better things can only happen from them. They work their butt off. They make very little money. I'm a huge advocate, a huge pro independent wrestling fan, and definitely go there and support them because they need your support. They put on a great show. Like I said, with one of my sponsors for this podcast is Midwest All Pro Wrestling. That's former WWE superstar Eugene, pro wrestling superstar, pro wrestling icon, OVW legend, Eugene Nick Dinsmore. He owns that school, that promotion. Go to MidwestAllProWrestling.com. You can find tickets and information. You can also find the phone number or the email that you can sign up for school, because they have a lot of schools going, a lot of classes for that throughout the year. He's trained basically everybody that's pretty much on the WWE mainstay and then some around the world. He trained a lot of them, and he's very talented. Definitely go look him out. And I also want to say this, because I've listened to a lot of podcasts. I've listened to a lot of YouTube shows with people that talk about pro wrestling. If you want a change of pace and you don't have the money to go travel to like WrestleMania or this, go find and look up now, since we have all this option. And it's something I wanted to talk about too on the podcast. Now that I'm on here, this is kind of like a video podcast. But go and find an independent wrestling promotion that attracts you, that like catches your eye, and see like if they're having a big show, take the chance, go travel, go over there, make a weekend out of it. You'll be amazed on what wrestling that you'll see. You'll actually have fun, probably more fun than when you sit in an arena on there. You just might amaze yourself. So go ahead and do that. And I'm not there. I'm not saying that, it's better than WWE or, AEW, whatever, but they got some talent, man, on those independent wrestling promotions that just kick ass. They absolutely kick ass. That being said, my other sponsor for the show is Remedy Brewing Company. It's a microbrewery out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. They have the cure for what ails you. They have IPAs, they have lagers. Dude, go look at their Facebook page. Midwest All Pro Wrestling has a Facebook page too. Go look that up. My friends, my brothers from another mother, Jekyll and Hyde Barbecue. They are one of the top barbecue food vendors in the Midwest tri-state area. They do have dry rub seasoning made by Nick. He does an extremely great job at what he does. I go and I help him out. I haven't done that lately, but it's been it's been winter. So, obviously I'm not going to help him, during that time, but, I volunteered with them and helped them out, when I do. They have a dry rub that's amazing. If you are part of the barbecue community, or you just like to, cook barbecue, or if you're not in a barbecue competition or on a team or anything, and you want to try some dry rub that you always see because you watch these shows, go to their Facebook page. Ask them if they have some dry rub they can sell you. I don't know if they sell them right now, but I'm pretty sure they could probably do that because they make all their dry rub from scratch. Go to Jekyll and Hyde Barbecue on Facebook. You'll see their sign, you'll see their logo. If this is on YouTube, you'll see the logo is a lot better than what's on my screen, because everything's all on my screen. It's all minimized. But find them, ask them, message them. Do me a favor, tell them that Fluffy sent you. They'll know what I mean when I tell you that, and when you tell them that, they'll know what that means. Go to Remedy Brewing Company on their Facebook page. Tell them that that I sent you. Or tell them that Fluffy sent you, and they'll know what you mean. Also, I don't know if you guys are one of those individuals that like IPAs, lagers, and all that stuff, and you like to taste them, and you taste different beers and lagers all over the world, all over the U.S., reach out to them, see if they'll be able to sell some and deliver. I'm not for sure, but it's don't hurt to ask, but just tell them that Fluffy sent you. KBack.rocks. KBack.rocks is what powers the Kota iRadio Network podcast. Crazy Frank has a morning show on that radio station, which if you can find it, and it's a 100% streaming. It's worldwide, globally known. It's kbackradio.com. You can listen to that. It's on TuneIn. It's on iTunes. It's on a lot of other devices, operating systems. Go to kbackradio.com, and it's rock radio the way rock radio should be. It's not regulated by the FCC. He does a morning show from 8 to 10 or 8 to 11. In between there, sometimes he doesn't do it right at 8 because he tries to get everything. It's only him that does it. And he has a couple other friends that, he talks to every once in a while, but he posts. Find him on the KBack Radio. Find them on Facebook, on Twitter. All these guys are on Twitter. Jekyll and Hyde, Midwest All Pro Wrestling, Remedy Brewing Company, KBack Radio. Frank is Frank. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. His show is very entertaining. If you're looking for one of those rock radio stations that you miss, that plays everything that, you can get a regional radio station and be like, oh yeah, I listen to rock radio and it's fine with me. They play what I want. These guys, Frank plays what you won't hear on those regional radio stations. I don't care how big it is. I don't care if it's a radio station that's on iHeartRadio or any of these bigger names or bigger companies that are bought. A corporate company won't allow you to play some of these songs. And KBack Radio plays this rock music on that show, on that radio station. If you do like country, and some people don't, but some people do, there's a link for that on their Facebook page. And send him a message, tell him Fluffy sent you. He'll give you that message and all that too. But I listen to the rock radio. I'll listen to country. I'll listen to pretty much anything. But that rock station on internet, you can put it on your phone screen. On my phone, I have this, so you can put it on the screen, so you can open it up. It's like an internet app, so you have it whenever you want. You can listen to it, stream it. It's highly recommended. Go there, tell them that Fluffy sent you on the Facebook page or Twitter. But yeah, he does a lot of memes on his Facebook page that are pretty funny. If you're easily offended by certain things, I still recommend you going and listening to it, because he's not one way or the other. He tells you how it is. He's frank. He's crazy frank. And he does a really good job, and he's a brother. And without those guys' support, without Eugene, Matt, Tyler, everybody at Remedy, Garrett, Nick, everybody at Jekyll and Hyde Barbecue, Eugene, like I said, or Crazy Frank, or anybody else that's part of that radio station that's been over the years. They're really good friends. They're like brothers to me. They support me, and if it wasn't for them, this wouldn't be possible at all. I wouldn't have been able to do this, and that's the truth. It's getting close here to the end of the hour. I'm only going to do an hour for this, and I think this one went a lot better. I may have even rambling. I apologize. But I think it's good. I kind of just, talked a little bit about wrestling. Oh, let's get to the music part. So there's a lot of independent musicians out there around this area that I want to try to get out there a little bit more. I'm going to open up my music, and I'm not going to play any songs, but I'm going to tell you some of the individuals that I recommend. If you go to iTunes or Spotify and you look up The Shoplifters with a Z at the end, not an S, a Z, and then it says Demo is their album. Go check them out. I highly recommend that. Also, like I said earlier, Bear Within Us, their hit Baker, they're on iTunes and Spotify. Baker is our theme song for the podcast, for the Kota iRadio network. I thank them. I don't know how I can repay them, but they're allowing us to use their song for the show, from their album Bear Within Us, self-titled. Also, I recommend you going out and listening to, I gotta find their album. There's good friends of mine. Go find Philly Fate. You can find him on iTunes and Spotify. Go find Nico McFadden. Go find Denim, DEMHAM. Go find him. Those guys are very talented. That's more of a hip hop rap groups, not groups, but a single artist. Find them. Also, I just recently found out on music called Sting, The Edge of Reason. I think that's what the band name is the Edge. It's The Edge of Reason. Their album is called Sting. They're from overseas, and it has a big B on it. It's definitely worth to listen to. There is another one that I wanted to find here, and just hold on one second. I will find it. I'm going to try to get these guys on the show. Most definitely. I haven't started having musicians on the show quite yet, but I've been advertising with some of the albums. If you go on our Twitter page at UnCut space live, I post the album spotlight. I do that randomly. Usually it's Friday most of the time, but I've been trying to do it a little bit more often and recommend albums. Because of John Cena coming back, I had his album as the spotlight as well. Let me find that. I'll do everything. I thought I had him on here. Let me see. Library. They are out of South Dakota, and they are absolutely amazing. And let me find them. me see. I know this is taking a little bit longer, but trust me, it's gonna be well worth it. Where is it? Come on now. I had him right here. And apparently it... Well, I don't know where they're at. We'll talk about it. I'll post it on the Twitter account. Like I said, go to UnCut Live space on Twitter. Go to Pro Wrestling Uncut and ask for Cole and Dave and see if you guys have any questions for them. They've been in the professional wrestling business for quite some time. They have family in the professional wrestling business as we speak. In one of them has a family in the WWE. The other one has a family in the WWE as well. They're like a family. They're from SoCal. I respect them, and I thank them once again for helping me out. I will post that information on that album on my Twitter account. Also, our main Twitter account for the podcast, which I have another friend that helps me with. You go to @Kota with the K, lowercase I, then Radio Network with WK. Don't put OR in the middle of it, just capital WK. Go to that Twitter account. That's the main account I'm on most of the time at night. Other than the fact that somebody else will post something also on there. If you go to the podcast platforms, you will find that logo that's on your screen to the right of you, which would be my left, right there. That is the album podcast cover. So go ahead and, go check that out. It's Kota iRadio Network podcast and all your podcast platforms. Those are just a list down below me that are, what it's on. There's numerous amount. It is a Podcast One production, and I thank them for all the tireless work that they do to help me get this going every day and push it and advertise it. I thank them. That being said, I think I'm going to take off. I appreciate your guys' time. If you watch this, please put comments in there. If you do YouTube channels, if you do podcast, give me a little critique. Kind of keep it nice. Don't be an ass about it. But just give me some comments to maybe help me out and see if there's anything that I can do differently. But I think I kind of like this. We're already over an hour live. It's just rambling on. If you guys didn't learn anything, you thought that was dumb, thank you. I appreciate it. Love you too. But yeah, guys, I'm going to go. Probably not going to have a theme song to take us out for this time because this is like only my second time actually doing this live on YouTube. But peace. I'm out.